She was diligently mopping the lobby floor when the CEO caught her speaking Mandarin, Spanish, and French with the fluency of a native. The events that unfolded next left the entire company in disbelief. The cleaning crew at Hallberg International often went unnoticed by most, not due to any ill intent, but simply out of routine. They arrived after hours, maneuvering carts, replacing trash bags, cleaning conference tables, seamlessly blending into the background like the soft hum of elevator music. On a Monday morning in downtown Fort Worth, Texas, the main lobby of the company thrummed with the sound of shoes striking the tile, the rhythmic tapping of fingers on phones, conversations about deadlines, and the tight grip on coffee as if it contained all the solutions. As Jonathan Kellerman, the CEO of the company, made his way from the parking garage to the executive suite on the 18th floor, he suddenly heard it. A voice, yet not merely an ordinary voice. Fluid, incisive, and gliding through a tongue he hadn't encountered since his previous trip to the firm's Shanghai headquarters. Mandarin, it halted him in his tracks. It wasn't the language itself, but rather the person delivering it that made the difference. He scanned the room, considering the possibility that one of the international sales reps had arrived ahead of schedule, but then his gaze landed on her, a woman dressed in a burgundy janitor's uniform, her short twists gathered into a ponytail, stands beside the touchscreen lobby directory. She found herself engaged in a dialogue with an older gentleman, clad in a navy jacket and thick-rimmed glasses, his expression a blend of confusion and relief. She gestured with a sense of calm, her voice both warm and assertive, guiding him. Toward the elevators, Kellerman squinted, his gaze sharp and focused. He had noticed her previously, gliding through the corridors following late meetings, consistently courteous, perpetually reserved, only meeting gaze when addressed. He was completely unaware of her name. Yet, there she stood, seamlessly conveying and clarifying construction logistics in a language that many Americans struggle to pronounce accurately. He advanced with deliberate slowness. As he approached, she concluded the discussion and shifted her attention to a delivery man clutching a clipboard. Se encuentra en la búsqueda del muelle de carga. Está detrás del edificio, junto al estacionamiento. Norte, dijo ella, cambiando de manera fluida al español. The courier paused, his eyes wide with surprise. Claro, claro, muchas gracias. Then, with an air of nonchalance, she glanced over at a vendor nearby who was examining a collection of incorrectly labeled boxes. C'est mal indiqué. La salle de conférence B est de l'autre côté, dit-elle en français, en pointant avec un léger sourire. Kellerman's jaw tightened subtly, not out of rage, but from a different sensation, something more constricting, a twinge of remorse. With over 20 years of experience in global logistics, he spearheaded international expansions, recruited translators, and developed cross-cultural training programs. Yet here, in his own building, the most eloquent individual he had met in months had been cleaning toilets just 2 floors below. He advanced, driven by curiosity rather than authority. Pardon me. She faced him, surprised yet poised. Indeed, sir. He offered a subtle smile. Was that Mandarin? Absolutely, sir. Do you converse? In it with ease, absolutely. En español, is it French? She gave a slight nod. In addition to Portuguese, German, Arabic, Italian, and Swahili, I also read Latin, though I don't really consider that significant. He blinked slowly. Are you really saying that you can communicate in 9 different languages? Absolutely, sir. Her tone held no pride, no arrogance, only a truth that was as direct as a level beam. He gazed at her for a moment, attempting to grasp the reality that a janitor in his building, a woman who quietly mopped floors each night, embodied the essence of a walking United Nations. What do you go by? He inquired at last. Denise Atwater. Miss Atwater, do you have a moment to spare? Her brow arched ever so slightly. At this moment, absolutely, I'd like to have a conversation with you in my office. He observed the flicker of uncertainty, not quite fear, but rather that instinctive response people exhibit when they've grown accustomed to being overlooked or undervalued. She nodded slowly. Okay. He pressed the elevator button, keeping the door ajar as she entered. Within the confines of the lift, A hush enveloped the space for a brief instant. "I've been here for 13 years, she remarked unexpectedly as they ascended to the executive floor. He shifted his gaze in her direction. "I never imagined I would receive an invitation to go up." He offered a subtle, gentle smile. One might not expect the rapidity of change, yet he remained oblivious to the extent of what was about to unfold. Neither for her nor for him, the elevator chimed softly. Denise emerged first, her footsteps soft against the gleaming wood of the executive corridor. The aroma was a blend of citrus and leather. Wealth, if you were to assign it a fragrance. Kellerman's. Assistant looked up, eyes wide at the unexpected presence of Denise next to him. Without a word, he simply nodded, signaling for her to allow them passage. Upon entering the office with its glass walls, he motioned toward a chair situated opposite his desk. "Kindly take a seat." She settled into her seat with intention, her hands delicately clasped in her lap, her gaze wandering thoughtfully around the room. She remained unamused, merely attentive. A vast world map adorned the wall behind him, each nation marked with vibrant colored pins. A tray of espresso cups rests on the side table, accompanied by a photo of his 2 daughters and a dusty award from a trade conference in Brussels. Kellerman positioned himself opposite her, inclining his body slightly forward. "Denise, I must admit I didn't foresee this discussion happening today." She offered a slight nod, her stance unwavering, her expression inscrutable. "But I just heard you speak 3 languages with such ease, and I can't help but wonder, how does someone with your talents find themselves here cleaning floors?" For a moment she remained silent. Her gaze darted to the window before returning to him. "Do you have a moment for honesty?" "I wouldn't have inquired if it weren't necessary." She let out a weary breath. "Very well then." She rubbed her palms together, as though preparing to bring the words to life. "I hail from Toledo, Ohio, where I grew up as the only child. My father worked as a pipe fitter, while my mother served as a nurse's aide. Despite their limited resources, they toiled diligently, elevating education to a sacred status. I received a full scholarship to Kent State, pursued a major in linguistics, and was halfway through my master's program when my mother fell ill." She hesitated. "I returned home to look after her. 6 months later, my father succumbed to a stroke. Everything unraveled from that point onward." She inclined her head just so, as if drawing upon the echoes of her past, before giving voice to them. "Became a parent, facing financial struggles and without a partner who remained by my side. I took on any work that came my way: supermarkets, assisted living facilities, temporary employment. Ultimately, a custodial supervisor in this place presented me with the opportunity for night shifts. It allowed me to collect my daughter from school and settle the light bill. That's the journey that led me to this point." Kellerman observed her intently, unwavering, fully absorbed in her words. "What about the languages?" "I continued my journey of knowledge. I borrowed textbooks, immersed myself in recordings, and perused newspapers in 5 different languages to keep my skills honed. It's my craft. It's the sole pursuit that gives me a sense of significance." Her voice remained steady. It lacked any rehearsal or flourish, simply straightforward. She remarked that most individuals never inquired. They noticed the uniform and jumped to conclusions. Final word lingered in the atmosphere, taken for granted. Kellerman reclined in his chair, the heaviness of her tale pressing down on him like a boulder. She cleared her throat, preparing to speak. "Listen, Mr. Kellerman, I'm not bringing this up to upset anyone. I hold no resentment. Life unfolded. Took the necessary steps. I continue to do so, however you inquired, and that is the response." He released a slow breath. Denise Atwater was exceptional. It was clear as day now, however, she was not seeking sympathy or even a favor. She was revealing the truth, pure, transparent, and slightly poignant. "Have you ever considered pursuing something different?" he inquired. She offered a slight shrug. "At times, yet dreaming feels distant when the rent is looming." Silence enveloped the space once more, yet it carried a weight, thick with unvoiced intensity. Kellerman picked up his notebook and quickly scribbled a few lines. "What are you working on?" she inquired, her tone remaining steady yet tinged with curiosity. He raised his gaze to meet hers. Concepts. Yet a singular notion was taking shape in his mind, and it was anything but trivial. The dialogue lingered in his mind throughout the day. Even amidst budget reviews and vendor calls, Jonathan Kellerman's thoughts continually drifted back to that morning. To Denise Atwater, her serene tone and the understated manner in which she casually mentioned 9 languages as if they were mere trifles. Such fluency was not a mere coincidence. Years of dedication, exploration, and passion were required. At approximately 3:45 p.m., I departed from the executive floor and descended in the elevator to the service level of the building. He yearned to witness something with his own eyes. The air was warmer down there. The walls bore an off-white hue, marked with scuffs from the passage of carts and boots. He navigated past maintenance crews, break rooms, and piles of bottled water before arriving at the janitorial supply room. He caught sight of Denise through the ajar door, replenishing. Microfiber cloths on a metallic shelf. "Do you mind if I trouble you once more?" he inquired as he entered the room. She pivoted, a hint of surprise flickering across her face. "So, you made your way down here?" He grinned. I found myself unable to shake off the thoughts from our conversation. "I have a request to make." She brushed her hands against her shirt. "What type of assistance are you referring to?" "A meeting is taking place upstairs. A team from the Sao Paulo office arrived early, and our translator cancelled at the last minute." "Could you lend a hand?" She paused for just a moment. "Are you asking about the Portuguese language?" "Absolutely. I am capable of accomplishing that." A few moments later, they found themselves in conference room 4C. 4 Brazilian executives sat in an uncomfortable silence, glancing at their phones. Denise entered with a quiet grace, offered a nod, and started to articulate her thoughts in fluid, assured Portuguese. Kellerman observed the way the whole room transformed, shoulders at ease, gaze focused. She was crafting something more than mere translation. She was connecting worlds, ensuring that everyone felt acknowledged. As one of the guests shared a joke in Portuguese, Denise burst into laughter and quickly fired back with a witty retort, leaving everyone in stitches. Kellerman may not have grasped the words, yet he felt the bond. The meeting concluded after 20 minutes. One of the executives glanced at him and remarked in English, "She's superior to anyone we've collaborated with this year. Where did you come across her?" Kellerman cast a glance at Denise, who was busy arranging empty cups on a tray. "Right here," he stated. In the corridor, he finally reached her. "Have you ever engaged in professional translation before?" She gave a slight shake of her head. "I recently assisted individuals in hospitals, government offices, and similar settings. Without a certificate, school is not an option right now. My daughter required my presence more." Kellerman gave a slight nod. "And where is she at this moment?" "She is 26 years old, healthcare professional in Tempe, financed her own education, determined just like her mother." They exchanged smiles, and for a fleeting moment, the distinction between CEO and janitor seemed to vanish. Merely a conversation between 2 individuals reflecting on existence. They made their way back to the service area, where Denise logged back in. She still needed to tackle 2 more floors before the shift change. Before her departure, she uttered a phrase that lingered in his mind. "Today was just an ordinary day for me." He gazed at her, his eyebrows arching in surprise. "That's not the impression I got." She offered him a fleeting smile before turning away. That evening, Kellerman lingered in his car for an extended period before making his way home. He pondered all that was before him: the weight of expanding the business, the constant investor engagements, the ongoing dialogues about inclusivity and overlooked potential. Throughout this period, they have focused their gaze outward, seeking talent from around the world in pursuit of fresh perspectives. Yet at times the treasure lies right at your doorstep. Once you come to that understanding, the pivotal question shifts to, what actions will you take in response? The following morning, Denise's badge emitted a beep at an unexpected hour. She had just completed wiping down the east lobby when her supervisor, Ron, tapped her on the shoulder, his expression a mix of something that wasn't quite annoyance, yet felt off in a way that was hard to define. "Hello, Denise. Mr. Kellerman would like to see you once more." She fluttered her eyelashes. Have I made a mistake? Ron gave a slight shake of his head. He didn't elaborate, just instructed me to send you up. She wiped her hands on a towel and retraced the steps she had taken the previous day. This time it felt as though everyone in the building was aware of her presence. Those she encountered glanced her way. There were murmurs. One of the receptionists offered her a courteous smile as if she held a secret that Denise was unaware of. As she entered the executive suite, Kellerman was positioned by the window, cradling a cup of black coffee while gazing out at the skyline. "Step inside," he called, still facing away. She lingered silently by the door, waiting for him to turn and meet her gaze. "I've been pondering," he remarked, setting his mug down on a coaster. "The concept of talent, discarded. How many individuals miss their chance, not due to a lack of talent, but because they go unnoticed?" Denise remained silent. She was wary of insincere compliments. She had witnessed countless individuals boast grandly, yet accomplish very little. "I aim to establish a novel role," he continued, "one that has never been seen before. This company is in dire need of something, even if it was previously unrecognized." At that moment, her brow knitted in concentration. "What for?" "Facilitator for global relations. A person adept at navigating languages, discerning subtle meanings, managing interactions with visitors and vendors, and expertly handling documents across all the international connections that were often mishandled." Her lips parted, yet silence enveloped her. "You possess the qualifications, likely exceeding those of many in our leadership team, and you've already demonstrated your capability to manage it effectively with elegance, perseverance, and intellect." She fixed her gaze on him, her eyes narrowing. "Just a bit. Is this for real? Authenticity at its finest. I lack a college degree. There is something superior awaiting you. Personal journey, dedication, and proficiency in 9 languages. Do you really believe I give a damn about a mere piece of paper?" She adjusted her stance, lingering in uncertainty. "What makes me the one?" He gazed intently at her. "I observed you. Tackle 3 challenges in 3 different languages before the clock struck 9 a.m. Yesterday I found myself weary of passing by individuals like you, those who put in double the effort yet receive only a fraction of the recognition." Denise folded, her arms across her chest. "You're aware of the opinions that will be expressed. I have no interest in that." She gazed at him for an extended moment, then exhaled slowly. "She mentioned that she has never held an office job. I have never held a title. You will quickly grasp the concepts. I lack a collection of attire suitable for this occasion. I will arrange for HR to provide a clothing stipend." She let out a humorless laugh. "So, you've considered all the details, have you?" "I am making an effort." A lengthy silence lingered in the air, and then Denise inquired gently, "What about my shift downstairs? Who takes my place?" Kellerman wore a smile. "We will seek out another, yet none can truly take your place." Silence enveloped them for what felt like an eternity. She cast her gaze upon her hands before returning her attention to him. "Are you certain this isn't just a favor of some sort?" He shook his head in disbelief. "This acknowledgement is long overdue." She bit her lip, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears, yet she managed to blink them back before they could escape. "Very well," she stated, her tone resolute. "Allow me to explore the possibilities." He reached out his hand. She gave it a vigorous shake. It was more than merely a handshake. A new chapter was unfolding in the annals of time. However, neither of them anticipated the reactions of everyone else in the building. By Wednesday, the news had spread more swiftly than the elevators could ascend. Denise Atwater, the night shift janitor, had ascended to an executive-level position. No one was privy to the entire tale, only murmurs suggesting she was fluent in several languages, that the CEO had personally selected her, and that she possibly harbored a mysterious past, perhaps linked to government operations or even something more clandestine. The whispers traveled from desk to meeting space. A few individuals were intrigued. Some smiled and remarked, "That's great for her." Yet not all were applauding. In the staff lounge, 2 marketing assistants huddled together, their heads bent over their salads. One quietly remarked, "I hold a master's in international business." and I've been anticipating a promotion for 2 years now. This woman was cleaning urinals last week." Her companion merely shrugged. Perhaps she possesses insights beyond our understanding. Oh, come on, Kellerman is attempting to present a forward-thinking image. Select a checkbox. The same vibe seeped into boardrooms and Slack messages, a subtle blend of frustration and uncertainty. Individuals were not accustomed to advancements originating from beyond the conventional hierarchy. Denise sensed it immediately upon entering her new office on the 12th floor. The setup was simple: a desk, a plant, and a computer that remained untouched for now. Yet to her it appeared as if it belonged to a different world altogether. After HR completed her onboarding, she inquired whether she could retain the night uniform, not for wearing, but as a personal reminder. That afternoon she convened with Victor, the leader of international operations. He entered, clipboard in hand and eyes narrowed, offering no handshake and choosing to remain standing. "So, you're the new liaison," he remarked, as if it were a jest cloaked in courtesy. Denise raised her gaze. "That's what I've been informed. Do you have experience working in corporate settings?" Her smile was merely a facade, a glimpse of joy seen from a distance. He remained silent. "I have received reports from Italy, contracts from our partners in Dubai, and a complete vendor issue in Sao Paulo. Do you believe you can handle that?" She rose to her feet. "I will require a few hours to go over it, but certainly." Victor let the folder fall onto her desk before striding out of the room. Later that evening, Kellerman made his way to her office. "How is the first day going?" She let out a breath, reclining in her chair. "I've experienced more challenging situations." He grinned. "Is Victor giving you a tough time?" "He doesn't intimidate me." "I assumed as much." She hesitated for a moment, then continued. "May I pose a question to you? Is there anything at all? What is the reason for this moment? What makes me the right choice?" A simple bonus would have sufficed, and we could have carried on. He rested against the doorframe. "I recognized a reflection of myself in you." She arched an eyebrow. "So, you worked as a janitor?" "No, but I was disregarded. I emerged from humble beginnings. My father repaired automobiles in a forgotten town. During my time in college, I juggled 3 jobs. There were whispers that I was out of place in spaces like these." Denise gave a slow, deliberate nod. "Now you hold the power to determine who is." "Allowed entry." He returned the nod. "Precisely." A moment of stillness hung in the air as Denise cast her gaze upon the file resting on her desk. "I must confess, I feel a sense of unease." "Excellent. It signifies that you have a genuine concern." She raised her gaze once more. "Some individuals are bound to dislike this. They will move past it, or perhaps they will not. Regardless of the circumstances, we are progressing ahead." Kellerman held himself upright. "A tale awaits you, Denise, an authentic one. And now, you have a stage." He then pivoted to depart. With the door clicking shut behind him, Denise surveyed her office. She recalled the countless moments spent weeping in bathroom stalls during her lunch breaks, the evenings she returned with sore feet and just enough stamina to warm up a bowl of soup, the birthdays she overlooked, the promotions she observed being awarded to individuals who never even offered a simple greeting. She slid open her desk drawer and tucked the worn janitor badge within. Let's keep that in mind, to recall precisely the journey that led to this moment. Yet, this narrative had transcended her ownership. The spotlight was on the verge of intensifying, significantly. As the week drew to a close, Denise's nameplate found its place mounted proudly outside her office. Dark characters against polished metal, Denise Atwater. Bridge between cultures. Global relations. It appeared authoritative, immaculate, enduring. The news had spread, this time in a formal manner. The company-wide email arrived in inboxes on Friday morning, delivered personally by Kellerman. It was concise, straightforward, and impactful. He detailed her role, her background, and most crucially, her significance. He presented it without the guise of charity or a superficial act of kindness. He was unequivocal. She was the ideal candidate for the position. That's it, yet the clamor persisted unabated. Several managers muttered quietly to themselves. Others became more receptive once they witnessed her in action. She handled discussions with international clients more adeptly than the program. She meticulously rectified the inaccuracies in outdated contracts that had resulted in financial losses over the years. She always remained humble. She simply toiled away, silently, effortlessly, surpassing all expectations. On Monday, Denise received an invitation to participate in a meeting with a delegation from Morocco. The North African expansion of the company had been at a standstill for months due to miscommunication and a lack of trust. She entered the room wearing a soft beige blazer, took a seat at the table, and introduced herself in fluent Moroccan Arabic. The atmosphere shifted. One could sense it. The transition. Individuals drew closer. They paid attention. When someone communicates in a way that resonates with you, it's more than just the sounds they make. Respect resonates. Following the meeting, a Moroccan partner approached her in a more personal setting. He caressed his chest softly, a classic expression of appreciation. "No one has ever done that for us," he remarked. "Not in our words. That's not the way." Denise gave a slight nod. "Your existence holds significance. That concludes everything." By the middle of the week, Kellerman took another step. The main training room of the company was given a new name, a space where new hires convened for orientation and mid-level leaders conducted workshops. The sign outside the door has been removed. Instead, we have the Atwater room. No major news to share. No celebration. It was merely a subtle indication, yet it carried a significance that surpassed any bouquet or dessert. Later that afternoon, Kellerman lingered outside the room, observing as a fresh cohort of interns made their way inside. He caught one of them murmuring, "Who's Atwater?" A senior staff member responded, highlighting that she embodies the idea that true greatness isn't always defined by formal attire. On that very day, Denise discovered a sealed envelope resting on her desk. No return address, merely her name inscribed in bold block letters. A note lay within. It said, "I once believed I would remain unseen for eternity, yet today I held my head a bit higher because of you. Thanks a lot. There is no signature." Simply evidence that there was an audience present, individuals seeking to explore the realm of possibilities. Denise sat there gazing at the words, her throat constricting. She remained composed. There was no necessity for her to do so. In that instant, she came to a profound understanding. This was more than mere employment. It was a portal. Yet, not. Every door remains ajar without a struggle, and there was already a plan in motion to resist. The response was swift and unmistakable. Late Thursday, Denise received a summons for a meeting, not from Kellerman, but from someone of greater authority. Eleanor Craig, a senior board member who had arrived from Dallas by plane. She had been with the company since the 90s. Elegant attire, incisive wit. Denise entered the modest conference room on the 17th floor, finding Eleanor already there, surrounded by a pile of documents and wearing an expression that was anything but welcoming. "Take a seat," she said, her gaze fixed elsewhere. Denise took a seat. Eleanor rapped her pen against the surface twice. "Well, Miss Atwater, I have gone through your file. You lack a college degree, previous corporate training, and management certifications." Denise remained unperturbed. "Indeed, that is accurate." Eleanor clasped her hands together. "3 weeks ago, you held the position of janitor here." "I was indeed." She reclined in her chair. "Can you explain how your unique experiences have led you to navigate complex international matters at a high level?" Denise maintained her focus. "I possess the ability to communicate in multiple languages. I grasp the nuances of various cultures. I have successfully resolved 2 vendor contracts and eliminated a 3-month delay in our Morocco deal. I also assisted in obtaining a verbal agreement with our Brazilian partners, which legal is set to finalize next week." Eleanor pressed her lips together. "Do you believe this company should operate based on intuition and charisma?" Denise offered, a faint smile. "Absolutely not, ma'am. It ought to be driven by outcomes." Eleanor's eyes fluttered open. It was the initial moment Denise witnessed her falter. "I don't require anyone's approval," Denise added. "However, I must find a way to contribute meaningfully." "Indeed I am." Eleanor rose to her feet and gently shut the folder. "You're a risk." "I'm accustomed to that," Denise remarked softly. "My whole existence has been a narrative." As the meeting drew to a close, Denise lingered instead of heading back to her office immediately. She exited the building and took a seat on a bench across the street, gazing at the glass tower that was now her workplace. For countless years, she had strolled by that building, clad in the same uniform, clutching her cleaning supplies, pondering whether anyone truly noticed her presence. At that moment, everyone complied, yet there were those who disapproved. She retrieved her phone and dialed her daughter. "Hey, Mom," her daughter replied. "Is everything all right?" Denise paused for a moment, then gave a small nod to herself. "Absolutely. I just wanted to connect with you." "Are you certain?" "I have no doubt." They exchanged words for a brief while, largely about trivial matters, shopping for groceries, taking care of her daughter's dog, and looking forward to a new movie she wanted to see. Yet the sound of her laughter brought a sense of calm to Denise. Once the call ended, she remained still, enveloped in quiet contemplation. She rose to her feet, crossed the street once more, and took the elevator up to her level. By the following morning, news of the Eleanor Craig meeting had mysteriously circulated. To the astonishment of all, Denise stood her ground. She arrived ahead of schedule, addressed the team during the meeting, and handled a call with the German office effortlessly, without the aid of a translator, serene, focused, undisturbed. On that very day, a handwritten note materialized on the whiteboard outside her office. "Your presence is acknowledged." 3 words, no name, yet they held immense significance. In the weeks that followed, an unusual occurrence took place. Individuals began seeking her out, not merely for translation, but for counsel, direction, and assurance. She emerged as the go-to individual for anyone seeking feedback before presenting their concepts. She would gather with interns, sharing valuable insights before important presentations, always treating everyone with respect and kindness. One of the interns, a reserved Vietnamese boy named Bao, inquired of her, "How did you acquire proficiency in all those languages?" She beamed with joy. "Each word one after the other, just as you will." Denise wasn't merely fulfilling her responsibilities, she was transforming the very essence of the environment. On a quiet afternoon, Kellerman found his way to the break room to share a cup of coffee with her. He mentioned that he's been hearing positive feedback. She took a delicate sip from her cup. "I've been making an effort to overlook the negative aspects." She gazed at him, sensing the ripples he was creating. "Is that a positive thing?" He grinned. "Is it nearby?" "It signifies that you're on the right track." A moment of silence enveloped them. He mentioned that he has been contemplating the idea of initiating a training program aimed at developing internal talent, particularly for those in non-desk positions. "It's likely that there are additional Denises in this building." She gave a slight nod. "There exist. They simply remain unseen for now." He gazed at her. "Would you like to assist me in creating it?" She beamed with delight. "It's already taking shape in my mind." By the end of the month, the pilot program was launched. A fresh initiative named Voice Inside aims to provide employees from various departments with access to language training, leadership mentoring, and enhanced visibility across divisions. Denise conceived the idea, and it ignited enthusiasm. Ultimately, she received an invitation to address a logistics leadership summit in Cincinnati, where she shared her story, not as an inspiring narrative, but as a candid reflection on reality. "I was never merely a janitor," she declared. To the audience, "I had a command of the language. I had the ability. I was prepared. Yet no one ever took the time to truly observe it. The next time you encounter someone without a title, consider what you might be overlooking." The room fell into silence, and then it erupted into a wave of applause. As she was leaving, a young man came up to her, his eyes glistening with tears. He mentioned that his mom works as a housekeeper and is fluent in 5 languages. "I once felt a sense of shame in admitting that." Denise gently brushed her fingers against his arm. "Never feel embarrassed about your origins. The sole source of shame lies in remaining oblivious to greatness." She stepped out of that building with a newfound sense of stature, not due to the applause, not because of the promotion, but because she remained true to herself, refusing to alter her essence to conform to the role. She carried with her every facet of her narrative, and that changed everything. Never presume to gauge someone's value by their attire, occupation, or the details of their resume. Skill knows no boundaries. Intelligence operates independently, and brilliance can stroll by you with a name tag, wielding a mop. If you've ever felt sidelined, undervalued, or dismissed, persevere. The perfect individual will recognize your worth, and when the opportunity arises, embrace the chance to take that seat at the table.